I have a nasal Midwest voice, so that may be a feature of the fact that I didn't turn on. Yep, here we go. Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, I do. Like I said, I am awful at video production. Awful, right? So I don't pretend to be any good at it. I'm a little bit too busy, and the people who are good at craftsmanship of that, frequently criticize me, rightfully so. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the Affordable Care Act first, and the reason for the Affordable Care Act is vital because when I tell persons what I've written about in Maximize Your Medicare is a book about the rules that govern Medicare, the rights, the options, what's covered, what is not covered, what the deadlines are, don't miss the deadlines, etc. The reality of the book, which I cannot put in like bold, right? I mean, otherwise it'd be like bolding only certain sections of the book. The reality is this is a financial planning book not only for the fundamental person. It's not only the enrollee, right? If you lived in a vacuum, you're 64.9 years old, you know no other person on the planet. Okay, then yes, you can read the book and send me an email. We'll be done in 5 minutes, literally. But the real thing is the difficult thing here is the fact that there are these ripple effects. Ripple effects, why? You're employed. You have a spouse who's not yet Medicare eligible. You have a spouse who is Medicare eligible and suddenly learns that he or she is very ill and needs the Rolls Royce immediately. You have a child who's 25 years old, still needs coverage. It is what it is. But each of these complicating factors change your enrollment timeline, what you need to do, when, what's optimal. And as soon as you switch, any dip switch on any of this list, and we're not even talking about COBRA, we're talking about comparing retiree plan, we're talking about comparing your active plan. It's a dizzying number of extra factors in here into the ripple effects of your decision-making process. When this becomes an important input, when this shows up on your personal radar screen, now all of a sudden you'll see the book. Now all of a sudden you'll see the back chapters of how to think about your group plan, whether that be your active plan, large employer, small employer, retiree plan. And the reason I start with the Affordable Care Act is because it used to be the fact that you would disregard the Affordable Care Act because it was an inefficient answer. Inefficient meaning the cost was too high, the sticker price too high, right? And then the coverage, because of the way that the differences between the group market and individual, that the individual market is too weak. Well, now, as a result of the Affordable Care Act, and most notably as a result of the fact the American Rescue Plan Act, which I've called Biden Care. Please go to the other videos on this channel. Right, I've been on this corner or behind this soapbox, standing on this soapbox here for the better part of 9 months, 8 months, I would probably call it. But the point of it has been that the tax credits inside the Affordable Care Act are so big that it entirely changes the entire balance, which should have existed anyway, right? So in other words, people neglected the Affordable Care Act as a result of the fact that, oh, well, I heard these bad things about it. I didn't like President Obama. I'm not a Democrat. We get this long list of possible objections. Okay, now you're 64 and all those things are still true. You didn't like the ex-president. You didn't look like what he stands for. You didn't like this. You didn't like that. Okay, now your health insurance is $0 a month. Okay, right? In other words, you know, you change your stance real quick when you all of a sudden you realize that the tax credit is $20,000 a year for a married couple that are both 64 years old living in Texas. This is happening here, by the way. And you can see that what has happened is the entire retirement timeline, the trajectory of retirement planning, of dates, when, what, is now entirely flipped on its head. And it's a point that is a subtle point, but it is the vital point, which unfortunately doesn't fit on a 5-minute YouTube video. Right? We've got a society where, okay, well, the attention span of that of a fruit fly. Okay, I want my answer in 140 characters on Twitter. How can that possibly be? More videos, and why I'm talking with the window small, et cetera, is because I want to get to these other places, but I'm so bad at video creation and that kind of stuff that that what I'm doing here is wondering how to open this up. Okay, so let's just go here and we'll see. But anyway, we're going to start about the Affordable Care Act. So I'm going to start just talking, and actually you're going to have to ignore kind of the window as I'm playing with it. Affordable Care Act enrollment begins on November 1, which is just 8 days away, 9 days, however you count it. Okay, it is vital because of the preamble that I just had. You're going to have this, right? One spouse Medicare eligible, one spouse not Medicare eligible. One of those spouses, whether they employed, one of the spouses not employed. The employed spouse doesn't want to work, stays at work as a result of the fact that they're trying to have insurance for themselves. They don't know how Medicare works. They especially don't know what they're going to do for their spouse. So you add these two together. And then what ends up happening is people blow off the Affordable Care Act. Now's your time, though. This is why the element of time is important. So that you can actually understand the ripple effects about whether or not the Affordable Care Act is a possible path. I'm not concluding. This is not a conclusion that for sure that's your path. There is no shortcut here. Right? There's no shortcut here because of the fact that you don't know how your numbers fit together. I'm going to tell you, you live in Miami-Dade County, South Beach. Your individual health insurance, if you had to buy it off the rack, full retail price, you're talking about $1,200, $1,500 a month. Sure. But the Affordable Care Act market has changed in ways that people don't know. Number one, let's just go through them. And, this is why I'm just talking, because candidly speaking, you'll have to forgive me, because I don't have time to put these on pretty slides. All I can do is just start talking without a script. Number one, these are the things that you're going to see in the Affordable Care Act. For sure. You can book this. More carriers. This is not evidence of President Obama being right or wrong. It is not the partisanship of, hey, see, we were right the entire time. No, that is not the evidence. More carriers, more competition in there is simply why? Because the guys with the calculators got used to the way the numbers would work out. And now you can understand. It's not because the doctors said, okay, well, this or that. This has nothing to do with healthcare. This is simply that. The sellers of insurance, carriers, they finally got a handle of the numbers and the way they work. And they're willing to accept the other risks that go along with it, which make it different than when the Affordable Care Act began 10 years ago. if you look at the other videos in the channel, and I'm going to refer a lot to the videos in the channel, is because a lot of the things I'm going to say here, I've left the breadcrumbs on the channel the entire time. I actually haven't changed any of the videos. So, I used to even be worse at video production. And so I just left them up there because, first of all, I don't rewatch any of the videos because once the sausage is made, I don't, take off the casing because, I don't like the way I look or sound. But I'm already sure that the principles I wouldn't have changed. Not primarily, no. No, I would not. And so what ends up happening is that the Affordable Care Act was set up. When it was set up, the way that the rules work, the sellers did the rational thing, which is, look, we don't understand the way these numbers are going to work. What do you want us to do? They said, I have a good idea what to do. Let's get out. That's exactly what they did. But ultimately, they are in the business of receiving premium if they're comfortable with the risk. Now, what do you see? You see tighter pricing, a lot more competitive pricing. You have additional carriers. It's not because Obama was right. That is not it. Okay? This is not evidence of that. Because if that were the case, it should have been the case on day one when the idea of co-ops used to exist, and they would immediately push down the price. That hasn't occurred. That did not occur. So, we have both Monday morning quarterbacking, wrongful Monday morning quarterbacking, and revision and wrongful revisionist history, at play. Affordable Care Act does need to take place. You need to take a look at it. And I'm going to leave you. Let's just see here if I can get into open a web browser here. I'm going to leave you a couple of. I'm going to add into the chat here, which I barely know how to do. Yes, here we go. So in here, inside of gh2benefits.com, you can get your estimate. There's going to be online quoting somewhere in here, or ACA enrollment. Now, it's going to give you estimates about what your possible tax subsidy is. So you're going to have to, modify it a bit because not everything, all the prices are not fully loaded into the system at the CMS yet. But let's just take a look and I'll try to, let me see if I can get us up and going in a better place. And I apologize to everyone that I'm so bad at this. But you'll have to be patient because I don't have a good, I wish I could tell you that, I'm going to be able to fix this. We're going to get better at it and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that I'm not going to get better at it. Not immediately. It's going to be, very, very, very slow, if you will, because of the fact that I don't have time to sit around and look at all the awesome feature that the online gamers are able to do. It is cool, though. I would have to give them that. All right, let's just try to add this and see what happens here. Yeah, didn't really work out, did it? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, I get it. I see light at the end of the tunnel, everybody. There we go. Hey, hooray. Okay, so this is the website for the firm. And what ends up happening is lots of people, tons of people, thank you for have come into the site here. And what it did is I'll expand the window. What it did is it allows you to check out your quoting. All right. It allows you to check out the quoting. And in that quoting, come on. Now, whether or not I'm able to, rats. What ends up happening is you can go into that website. That's the way it'll look. And inside one of the menu selections is going to be let's go this way. Is going to be ACA. It's an estimator for how the market sits, and your household size and possible credit. Okay, and this is pretty important stuff because then you get a window into whether or not people can retire. Because you've been, like I said, the non-Medicare spouse all of a sudden says, hey, I can't retire because I'm trying to cover my spouse, which is absolutely understandable. But instead, what ends up happening is it's possible. No, I'm still awful. I'm going to give up soon on this. The estimator basically is back to the ACA. November 1st. It runs through January 15th. No one's asking me to set the rules. I wouldn't have said it there, is my candid reality. Because if I'm the carriers, I'm not happy. Why? Because they know that Jay's out there cherry picking it for clients. I mean, in a nutshell. That's not actually the reason. But, you know, the reality is that I'm going to be out there. People are going to come to me late. People are going to come to me on January 3rd. Right? People are going to want to have certain changes. Stuff like that. And the rules are going to be, the carriers are not going to have any choice. They're just not going to have any choice. They have to follow federal and state rules, which they will absolutely do. I'm very comfortable with that conclusion. That doesn't mean they're going to like it. Almost certainly, well, in behind the scenes, before this was announced, the reality is that the carriers were already saying, hey, this is unfair. We don't like this. They absolutely were doing that. That was the expected answer. 100% the expected. That was not the irrational answer. That was the rational answer. Right? As people, followers, no, I'm not working under the idea that the other guy is, unqualified or doesn't have a rational point of view. Carriers had a reason. Why? Because they know they're going to be cherry picked. Why do I know that? Because I'm going to be the one cherry picking them. Because why? My job is to represent the client. The end. The end. Right? And it's literally as simple as that. It's no more complicated than that. I think I actually have a solution. Indeed, I think I do. Okay. So that's it on the Affordable Care Act. Please, everybody go to that. GH2 benefits. There is a health Sherpa. There's, that's just like a layer tool. And then we can think through that. The ripple effect is here to Medicare. There's no doubt about that. Okay, and we're going to go through. So what's sitting up here on your computer at the moment, right, is a copy of the public presentation that I make. Now, it is not available for public distribution. There's a reason for that. I am, however, going to talk about certain slides. For paid subscribers, you get this thing in full to you, to the paid subscribers of the Substack. But let's just go here, and I'm going to talk about Medicare. I have to say this. Today's not financial advice. Okay, so there's that. Do your own research. Where are you going? Blah, blah, blah. This one. This is becoming a problem. There are multiple problems here. So what has happened differently than 5 years ago is full retirement age has changed. As a result, people are retiring at all sorts of different ages. They're trying to capture the full retirement benefits of Social Security. The most obvious. Right? The most obvious. Right? And so what they are doing as a result of this is retiring at different age at different times. 65 and a quarter, 65.1, 66, 67. What you don't control, and the concern this is raising, is that the Part B effective date is, you're kind of in the sludge of an inland lake. So what's not on this slide, which I'm going to say to you here, is the fact that you should enroll the cleanest if you're retiring any time around the age of 65 is to do so on the day to do so that this date here is the month that you turn 65. Unless you're born on April 1, in which case. My point is, you want to have your retirement so that this picks up on that day. Because what I do not control, I don't control if this thing reads April, May, February. I know precisely, however, if it's on the month that you retire. And that means preparing in advance. Very, very simple. You can't reach me early enough. Because now, and this is not necessarily negative. This is not necessarily negative. A year ago today, somebody pocketed, $4,000 for the 2 months of delaying Medicare. Delaying. Why? Because there's an income class which would have kicked off IRMA for these 2 months, and then that he would have had to pay for he and his spouse. And instead, he was able to have employer-sponsored plan when that was appropriate for him. Multiply by 2 months, $4,000. It's that subtle. It's that subtle. This is dominating our time. This factor is dominating. I've got all this other stuff over here, 40 slides. Right? But the reality is that what ends up happening is right here at the jump, this has happened. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate the fact that people have called and listened to me on some different media source or saw me on thestreet.com and said, okay, maybe I need this guy's help. Okay, that I understand. With a blank piece of paper, however, that's what I would have preferred you do. Somebody called me at 64. Somebody called me at 62 and a half. Why? Because the other ripple effects are to here. See this right-hand column? That's a tax matter. And now the ripple effects to portfolio strategy, even down to the line item, begin. Because there's different tax handling. That affects your Medicare premium. So again, for people who are not new here, people who have heard me speak, people who have seen other videos, that this is not a surprise. This is 0% surprise, right? I've been beating this drum all the time because I'm this certain that it's overlooked. Look at your Schwab market update. I promise you it has nothing about it on there. Ask your broker X what they know about this. It's even other persons with similar letters after my name. Because they believe that they're bond maven. Even though I've been bond trader on 3 continents. To central banks. So, you know what I'm saying? And in other words, that this part is wildly overlooked. That's it for the enrollment portion. I'm now going to go to what I'm seeing in the market. So I promised you this, that I was going to take a look at the market for you. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to see how quickly we can get up and going. And we'll see. very, very leery about how this is going to work out. Let's see here if I can... No, that's not... Capture's not it. Screen capture? Should be window capture. Nah, that's not it. If anyone's an OBS pro, they can chime in here. But we will get there. Browser source, no. Images, display capture. Secondary monitor, no. Game capture, no. VR, VLC source, no. Media source, no. Text, no. Window capture. Let's open your computer. It's gotta be this. Gotta. We'll get there, I promise. Are we real? We are going to get there. Thank you for your patience. All right. So, let's just shut this down here. So this is obviously Medicare.gov. Okay. Very clearly Medicare.gov. I'm going to show you some things, and basically I'm going to start the narrative here before bringing it up onto my screen. The number of carriers is declined, notably. That's your bottom line, right? The number of Part D standalone prescription plan carriers has declined, and not to a small degree. What used to be 30 carriers is now 25, 23. So the average Part D plan is more expensive, and the fact is the number of carriers have declined. And now I actually got a big surprise because it's actually going to seem like I know what I'm doing. Okay. So there it is. Thank goodness. Really. Okay, so, and I'm going to show you the evidence. Here it is right here. Come on, you. I choose, by the way, I choose continue without logging in. And you saw the quote about, Professor Fowl from the American College. He actually wrote me an email and said, why do you do that? And I told him, because I don't want to have you having this login ID, not necessarily for this purpose. You go to your ship counselor, you go to a library, etc., and you get your advice from somebody else. I'm obviously biased. I'd rather you just send me the free email, info@ghbenefits.com. But my point is that that's going to happen. I don't want your private data hanging out there. That's your claims information on there, on Medicare.gov, by the way. Back to, why don't we go to, no, let's just try this. So back to Chicago. Yep, Cook County. This is Chicago, and we don't need even to add medications. Oh no, what I do? Okay, I don't need any of this. Let's just go to Part D. By the way, if you get if this is you, you should absolutely choose the correct one here. I'm showing this for illustrative purposes. Do you want to see your drug costs? Yes. Always yes. Always yes there. I don't even know why they even have. I'm just going to put one medication here. There it is. We're done. And like I said, it's not even going to matter because I'm just going to that's not the point of today. The point of this plan is not for the person whose sole prescription is atorvastatin, or however you pronounce it. That is actually not at all the point. Let's see if let's just say we're done. Okay. All right, so here it is. So, I'm going to be telling you things that not really in print, not that I've seen. My point here is 23 drug plans. Okay. One of the largest locations in the United States has only 23 plans. And you'll see what has happened. Let's go to last year. Site slow this morning. $29. Sorry, that was 23, but I've given you I did not know what the exact answer was going to be. It was 29 in 2020 for this year. 2021, you can see it right there on your left. My goodness, all the times. Maybe I shouldn't have been impatient. It's like the sniglets, like what's it, Excel-a-mouse, something like that. When you like hit repeatedly, hoping that you're going to get it faster service. Of course, that has not happened. So basically what I'm saying, from 29 to 23, if we took 6 out of 29, that is more than 20, 6 out of 6 out of 30 is 20%, right? So this is more than 20% fewer sellers. You know, if all of a sudden you had 5 selections and all of a sudden you then have 4, that's not small, because you wanted extra numbers. You may not think so, but the reason is that I wanted more sellers to keep each other in check. That said, it's not that surprising to me. Okay, I've run out of patience for this. We need to have, I think I've irrevocably put us into this loop. The point is that I wanted 29. If I'm the consumer, I want 29. Because I'll handle it from there. Right? I need more numbers so that I can have these 29 guys compete against each other. Because we know I'm just saying that the persons in those groups, they know there's this competitive issue. Making the minestrone soup is not child's play here. The impact to the buyer, you, is huge. The impact to the seller is small. And it's horribly complicated. So as a result, it makes no sense to be candid with you for Jay and, Jim Bob, my best friend from childhood, to start up a Part D plan. That's like a non-starter. Because I know that making the minestrone soup is horribly complicated, and the amount of money that I could possibly make is so small that unless I was a huge participant, huge market share of a commodity product, I can't make it worthwhile. Now you know why 29 went down to 23. In a nutshell, making minestrone soup was too complicated and not profitable enough. They couldn't sell enough cans of it. And that's just the start. Okay, and that is literally just the start. That's your story on Part D as a standalone. I'm going to talk about Medicare Advantage. Now, let's talk about Medicare Advantage, where you have a different story. So we're going to go back to Cook County, and I promise not to hit, send like 75 times. Just press it once here. I tell my mom, like, press it once. And yet, of course. All right, so this time I'm going to add some more drugs because it's going to be important it's going to be very illustrative, very important. And maybe it's only interesting to me, but it's going to affect many people. Lumigan is eye drops for persons with certain eye conditions. Restasis, other well-known to people with, red eye. In theory, I should be using Restasis. Let's add another drug. The most generic of drugs. So there it is. We're done. I'm going to just... I always use mail order, by the way, at least to see. That doesn't mean that mail order is going to be cheapest, by the way. Let's not have that presumption. I don't make that presumption. And simply because the minestrone soup is pretty complicated, the retailers want you to walk in the store so you can pick up your $0 metformin and buy, $75 of candy bars. So just think of it that way. So here we go. And then we're done. We'll be more careful. Just hit it once and pretend that it's going to... Okay. I think it's fired up a lot faster also. Okay, so here we go. Now we are on Medicare Advantage, and we'll have something very different. Very different. $56 Medicare Advantage plans. Also, the breadcrumb. Can I do it myself? You're going to weed through 57 and know how to look for it for your situation. And I described it to a newcomer to Medicare the other day. I'm kind of like a used car comparison shopper for you. Right? The cars are going to look the same. They're going to have close to the same model year. They're going to have close to the same mileage. That doesn't make them precisely the same, and certainly not for the person. Okay? I end up tweak. Okay, that's the feature that makes the difference. And again, this difference is not a $50 difference. I don't tell people to change their plans for $50 of extra benefits. No. Right? It's too much of a pain. 500, 1,000 can be, and it will not appear here. It will not appear here on this report. Right? This is an overview on how it looks. That is not the end all. Absolutely not. So let's just continue on here. So this is, you can just see a very simple medication list, but one with Lumigan, which is eye drops, which can be tricky, and you can see it here. This first carrier, $444 for these three medications. Again, same carrier, just slightly different plan. Again, you must always refer back to my explanations of Medicare Advantage versus Medigap. That seems to be the most watched video. I'm not sure if that's my best video. I don't think so. Life's a Gamble is by far better. Anyway, let's continue on. Different plan, a PPO by the same carrier. They're not endorsing this video, so they don't get the mention. I heard this somebody on another radio interview. Okay, so new carrier, and you can see it 468 is the drug cost, not 444. And now we start to change. Right, new carriers, all the way to 56. Let's just go down here to. Let's just go to the so you can see different pages. Oh. I clicked more than once. That's the problem. Okay. So 444. Remember, 444 was at the top. Oh. Even worse. I've done a boo-boo. Oh, okay. I'm seeing 2022 plans. I thought we were viewing last year's plan. We are looking at this year's plans, thankfully. 11:44. We got hour and 15 minutes till my Wolverines hit the airwaves. Don't have that much more time. Let's just see here. We also don't have that many more things. Or we do have a couple more things that I do want to point out. So back to this. What you're going to see here as we go down to the bottom. Oh, jeez. Oh, this page is like awful, isn't it? What you're going to see is just with those 3 medications and holding everything else constant, that the variance, in other words, the difference of 444 is going to start to disappear. And it's going to start disappearing rapidly. Let's just go to the 30th. So there are 52 plans. Oh, no. There we are. 52 plans. We're going to continue on. Apologies to everyone for the slowness of the site and stuff like that. It's always difficult to know exactly how quickly to speak as well. Because I could speak at this pace the entire time for the 2 hours, and you'd have a 4-hour video packed into 2 hours. Like if you hit 2x or something like that. I'd have no problem in doing that, but then of course, we're talking about a different audience and, a complicated thing that I know by heart. And now all of a sudden I've gone too quickly for some people, many people, which is unfortunate. You can see here. Now you can understand why this site isn't that fun to use, because you have to make sure that you're using the right year up here. You can see me circling and worried here that I'm showing you the wrong year. We're now viewing 2022. And now it then restarts to load. My point bottom line here to you is going to be, and I have no idea of why it's continuing to do this. It's the same theme. It literally is the same theme. 444 is the lowest cost for that medication list. I promise you we're going to see $1,000 and $1,000 plus at the bottom of this list. Why we cannot go down here and why we have to scroll to the bottom of this page in order to go to next page is beyond me. IT fail. There's my review of this website. IT fail. People compliment it. I do not. I'm not. Now you can see why I did actually not click at all. Starting to get impatient, upset. let's not presume here, is your bottom line. Don't presume here that this is going to work. And now you have a very big fail, don't you? Because not only has this on this plan, so this is 10 out of 56. And somehow, the site has not sorted correctly. Wow. Oh, this is the top 10. Okay, that's fine. I guess. Unbelievable. All right. My point here is that this list here, so under Medicare Advantage, a couple of things. Number one, the number one takeaway is the number of plans is higher. They're going to be new names, new carriers you've never heard of in almost every location, and especially in a place the size of Chicago, right? Very certainly, there are going to be carrier names that you have not recognized. There are new entrants. That should tell you how motivated the sellers are. There are new entrants of names that you've never heard of in your location. This is entirely possible. Zing was not a name 3 years ago. That did not exist at all. Okay? It's brand new. There can be existing from other locations which are new to your area. Also very true. Well-known names. They're trying to win your business, and the difference here is $1,000 easily? Yes, it is. I'm going to have to move on because otherwise we're going to be caught in this awful loop here where that I cannot resolve, to be candid. I will not be able to resolve it. Otherwise, we're going to be here in 3 hours, and that would not be good. Only I would be here for 3 hours because you would have jumped off. Okay, let's go to the Substack. Well, I said some other stuff that I was going to say today. Where are they? Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, November 8th. Be sure, paid subscribers. November 8th. FEHB is the Federal Employee Health Benefits Program. Brutally. Everything that I said at the first part of this video about the fact of employment, not employed, and then as soon as large employer, number one large employer from federal employee. There are there are probably over nationwide, something like 600, easily 600 different options. Easily. And I'm not going to be able to go through and weed through everything one. Okay, so I've told you, yes, Part D, Medicare Advantage, dental hyper-competitive mess. All right. Yes. So let's go to dental and vision. This is a big source of cost for many people, right? You'll want to be really careful here because the dental and vision descriptions inside of Medicare Advantage. First of all, let's talk about Medicare Advantage versus non-Medicare Advantage. Let's first do that. Medicare Advantage embedded almost always. Even within there, it'll have different formats. Okay? You thought that health insurance networks were splintered? It's even worse than dental because many dentists don't take any health insurance or don't take any dental insurance, which may or may not matter because the embedded dental and vision may be PPO, may be reimbursement. That doesn't get away from the fact that dental is going to have a maximum limit per year. You cannot get away from that. Right? The other one, however, is the fact that you're going to, inside of Medicare Advantage, there's going to be the embedded, and then there's also enhanced. Most carriers are going to offer some type of enhanced. Getting them confused with each other is going to be easy. I would say the following thing about enhanced generally. Number one, I don't end up offering it, reminding them. I just tell them it's available, full stop. However, when I look through them, a couple of very notable things. Number one, higher annual benefit maximum. Higher. Okay, meaning that instead of $1,000 maximum benefit, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000. This is possible. There's no rule, there's no shortcut. Plan by plan. 56 plans in Cook County, there will be a different number. I'm not going to say that all 56 are all different. You have 56 different numbers. No. But what I am going to say is that don't presume that all 56 are the same. Okay? And this is going to matter to certain persons because you can see this person, Mr. Perfect, Miss Perfect, except I need a tooth extraction. Except this item. Their extra item, their entire healthcare cost. Their entire healthcare cost in dental. This is happening for sure. It can exist inside of Medicare Advantage. The punchline. No waiting period. No waiting period. Meaning, if you bought dental insurance from us at 63 years old and you had major problems, you would have a waiting period before you even get access to benefits. Under Medicare Advantage, no waiting period. That's built into every. Okay, so as a result, you can go and have your issues addressed on January 2nd. Up to the maximum. You don't have to wait till 6 months later. It also has this ripple effect of the fact that you remember I was telling you about enrollment and how complicated it is? Well, it's because of this waiting period thing, this little clause here, that sometimes I tell persons to try to keep their dental and vision from another location where they may have already satisfied it. That's my reasoning. So that you're accessing the benefits efficiently sooner. Well, sooner is more efficient, right? That's part of the embedded definition. Under Medigap. So, and we're going to go into Medigap here as point F here, which is not here on the agenda. Under my Harry writes, and took care of my Badgers this year. I don't think the Badgers are any good this year, right? They looked. Oh, that's right. The quarterback was out. That kind of spelled the end of it. So, anyway, where were we? Ah, yeah, we were Wolverines today is not for another hour. Okay, so the thing here is that Medigap carriers, they're paying attention not only to themselves but to the Medicare Advantage market. I think that it is very reasonable to presume that some of the reason, that a large part of the reason for the fact that Medigap premiums for 65-year-olds is lower than it was 5 years ago today. It's lower. Plan G is lower today. There's no doubt. There's zero doubt about that. $20 a month approximately is about right. 15 maybe. Lower than 5 years ago. So on a real basis, once adjusted for inflation, that's what, $25, $30 lower? Where the denominator was 120. That's 25% lower. Why? It's not because the healthcare cost is lower. It's because they've had to tighten they had to tighten down the screws and sharpen their pencils. There was no other choice. The funny thing is that on these other YouTube videos I hear is that people just pretend that, oh, I'm in control, you as the consumer, of every last item, and I'm the person determining the price and the input. You need to remember that the sellers there are not, they are watching themselves amongst each other aggressively. Aggressively. You're talking about hyper competitive companies with unlimited computing power and access to data. If that's you, what would you do? Right? 1% market share on a market of 63 million. And you're paid in stock options. Of course you're out there. Right? You are absolutely on the razor's edge. And I try to make this point because it negates a lot of the bluster that you hear on YouTube. Sorry. It does. Oh, well, this premium is going to go skyrocketing because of this, that, or the guaranteed issue of Plan G. Mitigated by the fact that they don't have the ability. Why? Because they know full well that someone just as smart as them across the street isn't going to charge that, and they've buckled it down. What does that mean? Yeah, maybe they thought they were going to get away with it because they were just going to except for they know that their equally smart competitor isn't doing that. Guess what that means? They can't do it. The end. And that's borne out by data, by the way. Paid subscribers, you know the story. I don't throw rocks at individuals' parties until I see them intentionally distorting stuff, propagating the idea that they know how the sausage is made. It's just impossible to believe, right? That would not be the logical answer on how they got to that end point. That's not the logical path. Anyway, here we go. So back to Medigap and dental. I veered off kind of far there. All right, so on dental, in Medigap, what you're seeing is packages of access and discounts to dental. That can exist. What it is not is dental embedded inside of Medigap. That is not precisely the same. This is financial contract with calculations. It's about precision. People's like, oh, Jay, you're so retentive. Why are you such a pain in the neck? Guess why? These are financial contracts written by lawyers. They're not writing with language that says kinda, sorta, overlooks and feels. No. Right? No way. This is precise language. So, Medigap here. Fine, you can access this extra thing, which is separate. The calculation in here, not right inside here. This is where the calculation is occurring, which always remains inside of there. You don't kludge this extra thing inside of the Medigap calculation. You don't. So Medigap carriers can offer this. Common sense, everyday common sense tells you how this happened. Why? Because they know that Medicare Advantage is out there offering it embedded inside of that. Competitive reality is telling you that the Medigap carriers are out there doing what they can, and you can expect this to continue. You're going to have to look through the fine print. You're going to have to look through the fine print. We have a question. Mary Bogart. Can a retired GM worker that currently has Medicare not ever change medical plans? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. If you have a retiree plan, can it end? And this has to do with the first point that I started talking without a microphone. Thank you, Harry Martin, for pointing this out, which is that, yes, if you have a retiree plan and you don't like it for whatever reason, can it be ejected? and then go to a private Medicare configuration. Whether that Medicare Advantage is a slam dunk, that is yes. Medigap is also yes with an asterisk. You just, because certain states allow you to voluntarily cancel your retiree plan and access Medigap, there's no shortcut here. My bottom line here is that more and more frequently I'm saying there's no shortcut here, because the differences across the results, the differences across the financial result, the access to healthcare plan result varies wildly. I mean, we've got garden variety based cases. That's, my book. But even inside the book is full of, yeah, but you gotta yabbit, yabbit, yabbit. And the yabbits are there because the number of exceptions is enormous. And if anything, it is growing. It is growing. Okay, so I don't want to talk for too much longer, largely because I realize that, it's Saturday. Thank you very much for joining. I can't stress it enough. The Substack, yeah, I know you're going to get too many emails and stuff like that. Don't give away free options. That's what I tell people. Don't give away free options. Because even a single one of these details here can be a very big difference. Don't forget here, Friday, November 8th. No, it's not a Friday. The FEHB webinar, November 8th. It's to paid subscribers to the Substack. And here's what we're going to review on how to compare. It's a dizzying number of options at the FHB. It makes Medicare Advantage looks like child's play, depending on where you live. It's truly incredible. Basically, every carrier wants to have a relationship with the federal government, and they all throw tons of plans for the federal employees. And then in addition to that, all the networks are slightly different than the private or large market or the small group HMO PPO for special carve-outs. And then there are different prices in every location of the country versus what you could get privately. It's exhausting. So what ends up happening is I'm going to be going through how to think through the filtering process. That doesn't mean it'll be your specific answer, but it's how I do this when persons with FEHB on their resume approach matters, how I guide them, things to consider, and even then, not specific to your specific situations differently. And for persons who need to know about Medicare, at the bottom, showing up on your screen there is the free webinar and the free book offer. The free book offer is now expired. But also on the paid Substack is not only 9 videos, 9 on Medicare, on every component, each about the shortest one's 20 minutes, the longest 45 minutes. Because there are limits to the book, I realize that. I'm not making an audiobook because I can't. I don't even like reading the book, much less hearing my voice reading the book. That's a non-starter. So that's not happening. But the videos are kind of pointing out the things that you can easily gloss over in any book. That said, the book is important because of the fact that this is about cohesive strategy, cohesive approach. Again, unfortunately, the fact is the YouTube is one. In this aspect, it's unfortunate, right? Because what ends up happening is we get a fragment here, we get a fragment here, we get Jim Bob here, we got Jill over here, all telling you that they're an expert, all telling you that, here's what I think about it and stuff like that. And while I'm interested, and I think it's fine to get different opinions, The strategy, the approach has to be cohesive, which makes it tricky for you. I understand that. I'm empathetic to that. It's not pity, but I am empathetic to this challenge. It's why I spend so much time trying to continue to create different analogies, etc., to make it a little bit more digestible, make it a little easier to understand. Questions, other questions you may have, you can send me, of course, which you could have always have done. Always, you could have done this. Send in your questions. You can put in 22 AAP guidance in the subject line, right? All of that is possible, no problem. That is, extraordinarily bad. Extraordinarily bad as far as what's supposed to be there. Hold on for a second there. One of these days I'm going to get like proper coaching or something like that. I don't even know. Let's shut this down. We don't need to see this. There we go. No, definitely not here. So there you have it. I don't have too much more today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, please, because it's not because of any other reason, but when other persons see that you like blah, 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 that's how YouTube works. And while I'm not here on a social crusade, the fact of the matter is that I promise you, someone you know doesn't have the information they're supposed to. They don't. I have literally presented in every corner of the country, right? To people, media, whatever. It has not mattered. It does not matter. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how much education you do or do not have formally. That person